Welcome back. Glad you're here. So, I just got done watering my garden, right? Now, most of you know that my well went dry about 3 days ago. So I've been hauling my water in 5-gallon buckets up from the bog all the way up into the garden. And we just need rain, folks. We just need rain. So my well has gone dry before, but never this early. It's a month early. So this is a good thing. The beaver have dammed up the bog out there, so it makes it for easier water gathering, right? Now, because it is a peat moss bog, and because we've had some hot weather, and the algae has been starting to form, that green algae, so that has a lot of nutrition in it. So my plants will really enjoy that. One, warm water, because you don't want to shock your plants, right? When it's hot out, you don't want to use cold water to water your garden because it'll shock your plants. So warm garden, warm air, warm water, it's really good, right? But because of the ground is so dry, folks, in order to dig down, I have to take my hand and pound the dirt to soften it up, to uncake it, so the water can penetrate down through. Now, as I go around my garden, and I'm just about done now, what I'm doing is mounding dirt up around my plants at about 3 or 4 inches apart. Well, from the stem, from the plant stalk. And I'm mounding dirt up around and kind of making like a little well. So when I pour water in it, the water is not running off. It's staying right at the base of the plant, so it's watering right straight down. So I'll do that, and then I'll come through and do it again, and do it again, and do it again, so they get a nice drink. So it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. It is currently 93 degrees. It's very humid out. You don't have to do anything, and you drip in sweat. So hauling water was just a little bit much in the heat. Now, you're probably asking why I am watering in the heat. I typically water at night so it can sink in the ground and do the plant good without the heat evaporating it or the wind evaporating what water I put on there, right? Well, when your garden is so dry that typically some of your plants will wilt in the heat anyway. Your squash will droop. Sometimes your tomatoes will droop. You know, sometimes your greens and cucumbers will droop. But when it's so dry, folks, and things are just looking really sad, you have to try to save them, right? So that means watering, just watering. So I know it's not the ideal time. Usually I do it in the evening. But tonight I've got to go to bed early. I'm not going to be around a lot of the day tomorrow. And Tuesday, I don't know how long I've got to be in town. So it's supposed to be hot today. It's supposed to be hot tomorrow. And Tuesday, we're having a 40% chance of rain. I don't hold my breath with any of it. I just don't. Like I said, if it says 100% chance of rain, somehow the rain manages to skirt this area. It just really does. So I've heard numerous people in the area. I've heard numerous people in the area saying that their beet greens, because it's so dry, their beet greens are tough. So it is what it is, right? Now, I know all of these people that told me that their beet greens are tough. I do know they have water, running water, and I do know they have a well, and I do know they are capable of watering their plants. But if you are not around to water them, then things just go south, right? which is probably what will happen to me tomorrow and Tuesday. So tomorrow and Tuesday, we'll see what happens with the watering. It just is what it is, folks, and this is why a garden is never guaranteed. You could do everything right, and the weather could have something else entirely in mind, right? You could have hail that could come and destroy your garden. You could have a frost right in July, which we have had before here, folks. And we could get no rain in the water. There's no water to water your garden. Or we could get all rain and your garden will flood and rot, right? So there's never any guarantee. That's why we always have backups, right? So I was hauling water by the buckets, and Cousin Shay told me it was too hot to be doing that by hand. So she went up and got her tractor and came down with the wagon, and I scooped water from a bucket, like the old-fashioned way, you know, just put a rope on a bucket and put it in the water and haul it up, right? And dump it in 5-gallon buckets that way. And she got her tractor as far as close as she could to the garden, and from there she helped me put them in a great big tote, so at least the water is in the garden. So it is what it is, and I think the weather keeps changing like this because it's getting drier and drier every year, getting hotter and hotter every year, even here in Maine. So I think I'm going to need to invest in I've got a submersible pump. My stepdad has a submersible pump. So what I'm going to try to do, his plugs into my generator, can plug into my generator, and I can run extension cords down to the water, and I could rig something up so it's not hauling in all that sludge through that pump. And I've got one that you just alligator clamps, or just clamps, I'm not sure. I think they're more than alligator clamps, but clamps that you just hook onto the battery terminals. And I also have a tsunami bilge pump, which also runs off battery. I know I've got 400 feet of hose. I know my stepdad's got a great big roll of 1-inch plastic water pipe. So between what I've got and what he's got, we should be able to hook something up so I can at least pump water up into the garden and maybe into some barrels. That'll be a lot easier, right? So far it just is what it is, and this is how I live, and the hard work comes with it, right? But folks, I know some of you are thinking 93 isn't hot. We have 120, 110. We have it for days and days and days. I understand that. You're also used to that weather. We are not used to this weather here in Maine. We are used to hot weather, but then the next day it goes down to like 60 or 50. And then we might have another hot spell. Then we could have 50, 60 degree temps. You know, we don't maintain that. We get a reprieve, unlike you folks, right? So, and we have a really brutally cold winter here. So in the winter, our blood thickens up, so we stay warmer. That's just a natural thing that happens. And in the summer, our blood is so thick that even a 60 degree day feels hot until we start acclimating to the weather. But then you have a 90 degree day, then a 50 degree day. Your blood doesn't thin out that fast when it yo-yos like that. And also here in Maine, we've got incredible high humidity. So it's not a dry heat, it is a sticky, gross, yucky heat where everything sticks to you. So, and I realize that you folks, like down in Texas, it's hot. I know it's hot. It gets hot up here. So, you know, when you're active throughout the day and you've got to lug water, You know, it could be 60 degrees and it's going to be too warm. You're going to sweat, right? So I just ask that nobody minimize the heat that we have up here, because it does get hot. We are very humid, and our bodies up here are not acclimated to the southern weather. So we just feel miserable, just as miserable as you do, folks. Even though we do get a reprieve with some cooler weather. Okay, we can get just as dry up here as you folks down there. All right. So it's not a comparison. It is not a competition. It is not a contest. Okay. So that's all I'm going to do is pick my bush beans, and then I've got to wash up. I've been getting my drinking water up to my cousin Shay's. So I've got to wash up, and I've got to go to bed a little bit earlier here. And the dragonflies, they get chasing each other around. They could drill you right in the forehead, and you'll know you've been hit by something, folks. Stay cool for those of you who are in the heat. Stay dry for those of you in the rain. But I can tell you right now, there's not many of you that are getting rained out this year. It's just hot and dry right straight across the board. So, and again, it is what it is, and we plan accordingly, right? My plan is to hook up a water system somehow for up here, so I don't have to be lugging it at 93 degrees water from the bog. Earlier I did a video and I asked where the heck Shelly was. Shelly's from Everyday Prepping Adventures, and she's still around, folks. She's still around. And I sent a plug to her homestead skills. So those are both really good channels, folks. If you want to go over there and check them out, it is her homestead skills. The previous video, I put a link to both these ladies' channels underneath my previous video. So if you want to go underneath that video and click on their channels to check them out, tell them Hippie Chick sent you, and just give a gander at what they're talking about, and maybe subscribe. Maybe it would help them out. I'm sure they'd appreciate that. So you can subscribe to my channel too. I'd appreciate it as well. So I guess this is it. It is mercifully hot out, folks, and I'm going to go in and wash up. Well, pick some greens, go in and wash up, and just relax. Last night I left all my windows open in my house, and it got down into the high 50s. So this morning when I get up, I shut the windows to keep that cool air in there. And so far so good. It's probably mid-70s inside my house, so that's really good. That's refreshing when I go in. So thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Come again.